So Blizzard recently made a video and unexpectedly they kinda leaked some really unique icons right next down the line with all the playable and allied races that are currently available. We can definitely see a forest troll there and what appears to be an ogre, a Vrykul, or maybe even a Yeti. This could of course just be nothing, I mean it could really just be a meme, but we do have other interviews. Blizzard told us they want to hide things better. They sort of hinted we could get an allied race from the Dragon Isles. Recently, they really developed the Centaur and the Tuskar so much they could be a playable race, and they really have everything they need to become playable, aside from maybe the Centaur not being bipedal. The Draconid are in the same basket. They even hinted at them being playable in a recent interview, seeing that aside from the Drake tier, we really went 2 expansions without any allied races. What new race could we be getting? Could a new allied race come as soon as Dragonflight or in the expansion afterwards? If you guys want to get an edge in WoW and a bunch of other games, No Ping is the perfect solution, and you can get a great 7-day free trial right away with my link in the description below. This will be especially useful for you guys that are living in areas with very bad latency that can really impact your game. All you have to do is just register and install No Ping, pick a server closest to your location and click a button, and you can significantly optimize your performance. This will also work super well for you guys that are into PvP or just regular grinding, farming, as you can be a lot more efficient. However, No Ping is a lot more than that. You can increase your keyboard response speed, you can unblock game servers with IP blocking, meaning you can bypass geographical restrictions, and you can even boost your FPS to get that last bit of performance juice. Now, I've used No Ping myself and it's super easy to use, and you can do the same thing by taking advantage of the 7-day free trial with my link, and you can see for yourself how it can improve your gaming performance. So before we get into the interviews and actual hints of possible allied races or some proof that we have and what would work best, let's discuss this bit of a meme leak, but at the same time this could actually be a legit leak. Keep in mind, I'm not saying this is forest troll playable race confirmed, but I gotta say it is also a bit too much of a coincidence at the same time. So a few days back Blizzard did this light-hearted video with a prop artist at Blizzard talking about food, and someone zoomed into his workspace and discovered something really interesting. So he essentially has all the playable races and the allied races listed here. The only thing that is not there are the Drake tier. However, there is literally a forest troll icon just chilling there and what appears to be an ogre, a Yeti, or maybe even a Vrykul. In regards to the forest trolls, this one is super easy to see. Anyone can see that this is a forest troll. However, in regards to this other icon, it is definitely a bit hard to decipher. It could literally even be a Maganator, but could be a Vrykul, could be an ogre. Some have pointed out that this is a Yeti, but I feel like this might be the least requested allied race, even though they have been in the game since Warcraft 3. Now, an interesting possibility is that this could be an early Drake tier icon that they forgot to replace, so this would also make sense, although there doesn't seem to be a female version of this one. Now, of course, I'm aware this is a bit of a meme. We don't really know what he has open and why they're listed that way, but I gotta say it is a bit strange that it is essentially all the playable races that are there, and then these 2 random icons just added to them. We also know that Blizzard works on expansions a lot earlier, so they're definitely in development of the next one. Forest trolls make a ton of sense. They're quite literally already a part of the Horde, much like the ogres, so there is not a single lore reason that is stopping them from not being playable. It is only once Blizzard decides they would be a good idea. So while of course it is most likely nothing, I think it would be hilarious if Blizzard really just leaked such a significant feature in just some goofy Instagram video completely unexpectedly. However, I'm not just making this video out of pure speculation. There is some substance, and I'd say it really is about time we got some new allied races. We got a bunch of them in BFA, and then we didn't get anything in Shadowlands or Dragonflight, so I think realistically it is 100% possible that we are set for a new race or multiple new allied races in the expansion that is to come after Dragonflight. Now, realistically, it could be possible that we could get new races from a new continent or a new land that we will discover, so this will be unexpected, very much akin to the Zandalari or the Kultirans, but we could definitely get something akin to the Volpera or the Mechanomes, so just these people we would pick up along the way, and that way this time are the Dragon Isles. This isn't just my wishful thinking. Blizzard did actually kinda hint at this a few months back, and in a recent interview a few days ago they did an interview where they confirmed that a new spec is not coming for the Dractyr in 10.1, although it is definitely possible in the near future, and they said they wish they could hide things better, which almost certainly confirms that they're hiding something. Then a few months back they did an interview talking about expanding the Dractyr to other classes that they also said is highly possible, and kinda gave us hints of getting new allied races and possibly the Draconid, which are definitely unique to the Dragon Isles. After discussing the Dractyr, someone asked them could we get the Draconid, and they said this: when it comes to expanding the Dractyr to other things, I think that's a future conversation that we'll have about what opportunities make sense and even opportunities for allied races. We're always having conversations about how we can include more things in that too. I think going to the Dragon Isles offers us more opportunity to consider things here. There are two things to extrapolate from this. First is, it was said in regards to the Draconid being playable, so this entire conversation is about that, and even more importantly, they said that going to the Dragon Isles offers us bigger opportunities to consider things. This, in my opinion, makes it very likely that a new allied race is going to come from the races that we are currently interacting with. So let's look at what are these actual possibilities, and let's start from the least likely to the most likely. First of all, we have the excellent new Furbolg models, and these guys have been requested for a while actually, and they have a ton of lore that has been added over the years. Not the Dragon Isles Furbolgs, they're not really that big in this expansion as they're not that developed, but we've had Ursoc that was relevant until recently. We have a ton of Furbolg lore. The Furbolg are connected to the Emerald Dream, they're very close to the Night Elves, the Green Dragons, they're humanoid, they're not gigantic, and they would be quite easy to implement. So overall, this is definitely a very easy to add playable race, but the reason I don't see it happening is that I don't really feel like the community is too crazy over them or that they're just incredibly relevant. In my opinion, they're kinda akin to Gnolls, very iconic Warcraft race, but not really playable race material. Then we have the Centaur. I think this is actually a really likely race, but I think their shape is just a massive problem for them, a massive restriction. Sure, it would be cool to have such a vastly different race, but I feel like this would be too much of a headache for Blizzard to adapt all the armor, all the weapons they had previously created. If these guys were two-legged, I would feel like the Centaur would be the #1 candidate for the new allied race. Blizzard has not only updated their models and lore significantly to make them more likable and not just villains as they were in the past, but they also significantly developed their recent story, included them in a recent cinematic, which is quite a status above a lot of other NPC races. The new Centaur are highly connected to the Green Dragon fight and the Dragonfight storyline, but honestly, due to technical aspects of them having 4 legs, I don't really see Blizzard adapting a million armor pieces to make them work as a new race. Next on the line, we have the Draconid, which I think are highly likely. Not only did Blizzard literally hint at them in the most recent interview, but they're also very relevant. They have been present in WoW pretty much since the start, and Blizzard actually considered making these guys playable around the times around the Lich King. You guys can actually read that interview. They said something along the lines of someday. Now, they added the Dractyr, which is sort of this version, but I'd say the Draconid are definitely different. Their lore was recently developed, we learned a lot more about them, and I could totally see this race being one of the allied races that is going to tag along with us. A big issue would be their size, but they can very easily be downsized, as we could see in the regular Draconid, the size of the Tauren, and we can see them the size of a building. So for the player characters, it would be very easily to scale them, and it wouldn't technically require some crazy shenanigans, as obviously would be the case with the Centaur. Based on the community reception, I think a lot more people would like to play Draconid than the Dractyr, and the Draconid would make an excellent allied race that are similar to the Dractyr, as opposed to a fully fledged playable race. So this one, dragon race with an actual race and an allied one. The only two problems I see with them is, despite the recent story development, I don't feel like they're all that iconic, and most recently we did get the Dractyr, so not sure how crazy the community would be about a new dragon playable race when so many others are just waiting in line with even better justifications. However, honestly, same could be said for the Void Elves or the Mechanomes or a few other races. Now, the next one, and in my opinion highly likely, are the Tuskarr. Tuskarr have been in games since Warcraft 3, their lore was really developed even back in Wrath of the Lich King, with a lot of unique buildings, models, mounts, and even back in the day, they really had everything you would need for a new playable race. The lore, the culture, the size, the models. Now, since they have been kind of a meme. I feel like a lot of people have actually seriously requested the Tuskar, and I think this would be a very popular choice within the community. We had seen Tuskar over the years, however, now in Dragonflight, their storyline exploded like 10x the Northern stuff. As opposed to a lot of other races, Blizzard in this expansion just went ham on the Tuskar, making a ton of quests with them, creating new models. We literally had their funeral, had some really emotional quests and bonds. So in my opinion, this is like the most developed out of all the potential races. I'd say twice as developed as the Valpera that Blizzard added, and they have 10 times the history in the game. On the technical side, they would be perfect. They're correct size, bipedal, they have unique mounts, they could even have a unique class, and overall their style is definitely there that was distinguished them from the other races. I actually think these guys would work a lot better as a fully fledged playable race as opposed to an allied one. Much like the Pandaren, and I think just like the Draconid, they could be a neutral race, so they would join both factions, as I really don't see why they would align with the Horde or the Alliance. Next down the line, there is the Naga that I don't really want to expand too much on, as I have an entire video that I recently did covering this concept. However, super iconic, recently they were mentioned and are very likely returning soon, and they could work as a race with two forms, so one Naga, the other Elven-like. We also literally played with these guys all the way back in Warcraft 3, so they could 100% work. Lastly, as I mentioned at the start, we have the Ogres and the Forest Trolls. These guys are essentially fully fleshed out. There is nothing they need to really add to them. The Forest Trolls could work exactly like the Zandalari and wouldn't need anything crazy, and the Ogres would just need some maybe mount options, a female form, as well as possibly some size changes, but none of that should really be that big of a problem, especially since they did a similar thing for the Centaur in Dragonflight. So if this leak is a bit more than a meme, and if it is an actual leak, who knows, maybe these guys are actually coming after Dragonflight. Thank you for watching. Check out Can Outland actually be saved, or is it just doomed, by clicking on the screen, and check out the Rods Academy for videos on real world history. See you next time.